Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Trelawney Fisherman booked on murder charge. Detectives from the Criminal Investigation Branch (CIB) at the Falmouth Police Station in Trelawney has charged a fisherman in connection with the killing of 31-year-old Kevin Reed, who was gunned down at a garage in Falmouth on Saturday. The accused has been identified as Brian Thompson of Racecourse, Falmouth. Reports are that about midday, the police were called after several gunshots were heard coming from the vicinity of the garage along Georges Street, Falmouth. On their arrival, the police saw Reed suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. He was taken to the Falmouth Hospital where he was pronounced dead. Thompson was taken into police custody later that day. On Wednesday, he was charged with murder following a question and answer session in the presence of an attorney. A date has not yet been set for the first court appearance of the accused. Blackman gave orders, not explanations. When Andre Blackman Bryan, alleged leader of the one-down fracture of the St. Catherine-based Klansman gang, gave orders for people to be wiped out, no questions were asked of him, a key prosecution witness testified yesterday. He's not going to give an explanation. He gave orders, not explanations. Witness number 2, who has been testifying since Wednesday morning, said via video link to courtroom number 1 of the Supreme Court in downtown Kingston yesterday. The witness, who has claimed to be the gang's banker and Brian's personal driver, among other things, made this assertion while detailing for the court the murder of a former deportee at Jones Avenue in Spanish Town in 2019. The murder of the Rasta man in that incident was one of 3 that the witness had so far told the court was ordered by Brian in his presence. Asked by the prosecutor leading the evidence whether Brian, who had reportedly told his henchmen that "Me want uno go kill the Rasta in the lane," had offered any explanation as to why the man was to die, and if he had participated in those discussions, the witness said, "I was taking orders, sir." He then went on to detail how Brian, who had allegedly told him to rent a white Honda motor car from one operation, instructed 2 of the accused now on trial which guns to use, how the act was to be carried out, and his role as the driver. According to the witness, after he dropped off the 2 trigger men, whom he identified as the accused Michael Wisely, otherwise called Stennett, and Brian Morris, also known as Rooster, on Jones Avenue around a corner after passing the Rasta man, who had been marked for death, he then drove to Shelter Rock, where he waited for the men to meet up with him. He said the men, after carrying out the shooting, used a trail through the hills to get to the arranged meeting spot. The witness said the 2 guns used in that murder were given to another accused in the trial, identified as Ted Prince, otherwise called Magaman, for safekeeping after they did the shooting and before they met up with him. The arrangement was that, after the shooting, Magaman would take back the guns. Him, Brian, tell Magaman to collect back the guns from Stennett and Rooster and lock them, hide them, the witness reported. The witness, in a rare moment where he called the shots, was decisive in identifying the individuals he referred to in his account of the various crimes. The man, who had been testifying from a remote location in order to identify the men to whom he referred, had to depend on the cameras and on-screen images. Seemingly taking charge while searching for the faces to put to the names, his first row sit please, second row sit instruction at the time drew mute laughter from people in the courtroom. Brian, after the second one of those orders, laughed uncontrollably, his thin shoulders heaving. Brian, who had more or less maintained a stony silence and remained unmoved, except to twitch his legs rapidly at points or stuff his hands into his pocket, was observed wiping his eyes afterwards, apparently brought to tears by his mirth. Witness number 2, who took the stand for the first time Wednesday, and is the first witness to be called for the crown in the trial, which began on Monday, had said he met Brian through a friend who was a member of the gang but is now dead. He testified on Wednesday how he used his cranky house to host alleged members of the notorious gang, including Brian, and stashed their extortionist money and rented getaway cars. He had also said he decided to testify against his cronies so as not to waste the court's time. Yesterday, the trial was brought to an abrupt early end due to the witness feeling unwell. Chief Justice Brian Skikes, in announcing the adjournment just moments after the trial resuming following a lunch break, said the witness's well-being was being tended to. The witness is expected to resume testifying this morning at 10, when the trial of the 33 accused will continue. 434 new COVID-19 cases in Jamaica, 12 more deaths. Jamaica recorded 434 new COVID-19 cases and 12 deaths on Thursday, bringing the infection total to 81,828 and the virus death toll to 1,821. The Ministry of Health and Wellness reported that the new cases comprised of 253 females and 181 males with ages ranging from 5 months to 97 years. The cases were recorded in Kingston and St. Andrew 95, St. Catherine 86, St. James 51, St. Anne 48, St. Elizabeth 31, Clarendon 25, Manchester and St. Mary 19 each, St. Thomas 18, Hanover and Trelawney 15 each, and Westmoreland 12. The deceased are a 64-year-old male from Manchester, a 62-year-old male from Manchester, a 58-year-old female from Manchester, a 62-year-old male from St. Catherine, an 86-year-old male from St. Catherine, a 64-year-old female from St. Catherine, a 73-year-old male from Kingston and St. Andrew, a 65-year-old female from Kingston and St. Andrew, a 68-year-old female from Kingston and St. Andrew, a 73-year-old male from Clarendon, a 46-year-old female from Clarendon, and a 38-year-old female from Clarendon. There are 27,896 active cases and no recoveries for the past 24-hour period. Currently, 663 people are hospitalized, 117 of which are severely ill, while 42 are critically ill and 135 are moderately ill. System of verifying vaccination status to be established, says Holness. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government is moving to make travel with Jamaica's vaccination card more seamless by establishing a system for verifying the validity of the vaccine status of Jamaicans. The Prime Minister's announcement comes following concerns being raised after it emerged that United Kingdom's government does not recognize the vaccine status of Jamaicans who travel to that country based on new travel guidelines established. If you need to travel and you arrive in the foreign country and you present your card, we will develop the appropriate system to ensure that there is the ability to validate the card so your destination of travel will be able to verify on Jamaican database that your vaccination is accurate and appropriate and valid, he informed. Whilst there are concerns, we wish to reassure the country that the way in which Jamaica has gone about its vaccination program places us in good standing for this kind of validation to take place. Holness was speaking to journalists whilst visiting a vaccination bliss at the Trelawney Multipurpose Stadium on Thursday. The visit forms part of the ongoing national vaccination mobilization and public education campaign to ensure greater take-up of the vaccine. Prime Minister Holness sought to reassure Jamaicans that the country's vaccination program meets the highest standards, noting that the vaccines administered to more than 700,000 Jamaicans inoculated so far are safe. It is not the vaccine. What the countries that are starting to place these requirements are saying is that they want to be certain about our vaccination process, and they want to be sure that if someone turns up at their border to say, hey, here is my vaccination card, that this card is not a fake or a fraudulent card, that they are able to verify that you are actually vaccinated, he assured. Meanwhile, Holness said there are signs that more individuals are heeding the call to get vaccinated against COVID-19. He informed that while the government is not currently considering making COVID-19 vaccination mandatory, more Jamaicans are recognizing that getting the jab will become inevitable. On the tour, it is clear that people are getting the message that in order for them to be able to do things like travel, that vaccination is almost going to become mandatory, the Prime Minister said. Holness also visited the vaccination bliss at the site at Troy High School in southern Trelawney, where he lauded those who came out to get inoculated and urged them to become COVID-19 vaccine ambassadors in their communities. Vaccine hesitancy could destroy hope for recovery, says Bartlett. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says vaccine hesitancy could threaten to destroy the country's hopes of recovery. The minister was speaking at a Jamaica Information Service JIS think tank at the agency's head office in Kingston on Tuesday, where he encouraged tourism workers to get vaccinated. There has been a lot of hesitancy, and I want to make the point that nothing will destroy our hope of recovery than hesitancy, and worst of all, non-compliance to the protocol, says Bartlett. Stop listening to Anansi stories. Stop listening to people who are less informed, less educated than yourself, and false narrative about the vaccines, indicating that already 5 billion people across the globe have taken doses of the vaccine. Minister Bartlett said there are some deep-seated fears and emotions and even religious and ideological views on vaccines, but that argument bears little value in the context of how medicine and science have combined with faith to heal the world. Emphasizing the importance of vaccines in the recovery of the tourism sector, Minister Bartlett said that our neighbors and our large markets such as the United States, the United Kingdom and Canada, and I am expecting Europe to follow soon, are all requiring fully vaccinated citizens as a basis for entry into their country, and that their fully vaccinated citizens should not be going to countries that are not vaccinated, suggesting that the tourism world could shun destinations where the workers of the industry are not vaccinated. Minister Bartlett went on to reveal that nearly 50% of frontline workers within Jamaica tourism industry have already received at least one dose of the vaccine, and the goal is to have 70% fully vaccinated by the end of October. JN Foundation awards 37 PEP scholarships. JN Foundation has awarded 37 students who recently matriculated to high schools across the country 5-year scholarships in recognition of their outstanding performance in this year's Primary Exit Profile PEP. The recipients will be formally recognized as JN Scholars during a virtual scholarship reception to be held on Sunday, September 26. The JN Foundation stated in a release that it will award a student from each parish and county, while 20 of the awardees are children of employees of the Jamaica National Group. This year's scholarship award is in addition to approximately 100 JN scholarships who are at various stages in their 5-year scholarship and who will have their awarded amount renewed for the new school year, the release stated. JN Scholarship awardee from the parish of St. Elizabeth, Sidonie Nemard, she was very overjoyed to be selected for this year's award. I am very proud and excited because my mom wouldn't have to pay for all the expenses, she related, adding that because she lives far from her new school, the transportation cost would be high. Sidonie, an honor roll student and the top PEP student at Hopewell Preparatory School, achieved a placement score of 100 in mental ability and scores 90s in language arts and mathematics, while still in grade 4 to secure a place at the Hampton School in St. Elizabeth, which was her school of first choice. Claudine Allen, General Manager of the JN Foundation, the philanthropic arm of the Jamaica National Group, commended the awardees for their achievement despite the challenges they face with online learning in a pandemic year. She pointed out that the annual scholarship awards are put on of several sustainable initiatives that are undertaken each year to help individuals find a way. Our goal is to invest in and empower our children to achieve academic success. In a few years from now, they will be making a greater contribution to the development of our country, and we want them to have the opportunity to begin establishing their leadership skills from early by ensuring that they get a good foundation in their education. At a time when many parents are having financial challenges in providing the necessities for their children's education, it was important for us to provide that needed support, Allen added. Approximately 550 scholarship applications were received through the JN Foundation website for this year's award. As part of the eligibility of the scholarship, the students and their parents must be JN members, customers or clients of the Jamaica National Group for at least a year, the release reported. It went on to say that in addition to the PEP scholarship awarded, 16 students at the tertiary level attending the University of the West Indies, the University of Technology Jamaica, the Northern Caribbean University and the University College of the Commonwealth will receive financial assistance to pursue their studies. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.